Okay, so I got a couple parts for this saw here. It runs just fine. Used it today even for the firewood. And so I got this part for it, the other one. So this was $55. This is nearly brand new. This is from the place that sells Husqvarna. This was used. It's almost brand new. It's perfect. And then I got a whole box of parts for this chainsaw, which it runs, but it doesn't have a body, so I need to build it back onto it. See, like parts like that, actually this one's not too bad, but there's a support that's missing here. Like it goes up like that, and so it mounts. See, there's one screw here, and then there's another one right there, and no, maybe I could have fixed this, but I decided not to. How does this even go? It goes just like that. See how all that, where does it? Actually, it goes just like that. See, that's how much of it is broken. So, you can't really, I mean, I might be able to fix that if I really wanted to, but I just ordered a bunch of parts, so it'll be like brand new now. Like, how are you supposed to tell what head is in there? You can hardly see, I can't even see it. Kind of a pathetic design. That looks good. Yeah, it's nice and shiny. I already gave you that piece. Make sure they're the same thing. It's nice when you have a saw the same. You can use it as a reference to where to put the parts. Well, actually, we got two of them the same. See how that works now? Well, look what I just found. These are the parts for this. So, oh well. Now I have a spare trigger. Yeah, these parts were perfectly fine. I guess I didn't do a very good job of keeping track of parts. But in the future I'll do better, so these are the ones off that saw that I'm using as a reference. And see, I have a couple in there. I think those are for the saw, but I don't know why they're not in a labeled container. So I guess these are the bolts for it. Okay, so this is the throttle piece that goes on the carburetor, and the trigger goes on the end of that. So I need to make one of these because unless I can find it, but I don't think I'm going to find that anywhere. Okay, that part is not going to work. That's going to take... It's taking forever to get it right, and it's just the wrong part. You can't make that. You have to buy it. So I got the part. We went to town today, and I got the part, so now I got two of these. So I have one for this saw and one for the one that was running. Switch, the plug that goes on the switch was bad, so I don't know what that one's off of, but I put a different type of kill switch on here at one point. But this is the plug I'm going to use, so I'm going to put it on there. It just needed a new plug. So on this saw here, see, there's a little piece of plastic right in there. Right in there. You see it now. So there's that piece of plastic right across there, that black thing. That's what I need in there. That's the backstop for this. So I think what I can do, and that piece of plastic is molded onto the carburetor. So I think what I can do is, if I get a small hole and I put this nail in there. And I think if it goes just in the right spot, I'll put it through and across, and then there's another piece of plastic to put another hole in. Let's see if this thing starts. It's been sitting for, I think, about a year. So. So there was an issue with the kill switch. It wasn't turning off and it wasn't making contact. So I think I took apart a wire. And I think the plug just wasn't on tight enough. And so I damaged the wire, taking it off. It was kind of taped together to the other wire. So I taped over the place I damaged. And I just tightened the plug with a plier. And that's what fixed the issue why it wasn't turning off. So that nail I had earlier in there didn't work, so I used a screw. Look at that. Screwed it right in there. And it just so happened to be a perfect place for it to go in. You know, it didn't quite drill where I wanted it to. It's actually cracked right there. That completely doesn't matter, because that doesn't want to come out. You know, it's just in the perfect place, and it's the backstop. So that's on, no contact. That's contact, that's off. So the switch will stay in its place in the down position. So to kill it goes like that. And to make it run, see that's contact right there. So it's working great. So that screw is the equivalent of that little black rod in there. See that black rod? That's what the screw did. So, you know, it kind of doesn't look good because that's there now, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, that's how you fix that, I guess. So this is used from the chainsaw place. Make sure it works. Okay, well that is working good. I'm happy with that. The bar for this saw is on this saw. This is the original bar, but this thing's pretty. The chain's almost gone. This 455 bar does fit on here, but not entirely correct. No, it's kind of that the drive sprocket is a little bit different. So I don't recommend doing that. You shouldn't put a bigger bar on one of these little tiny saws. But the reason I did that is because this saw is meant to, it's like the odd time you have to cut a bigger log, but yeah, I don't need that bar on there. I do have an old bar I can put on here. I don't really care about it. This saw is absolute garbage. The oil tank has a leak, and it just leaks oil all over it, and it's just a junk saw. I don't like this model. I think this is one of Husky's bad saws. Yeah, see, this chain has got like nothing left on the tooth, but it's still razor sharp. So that's a good chain. This one is it's like a 90-year-old who can still work every day. These nuts are really stripped out. I might actually have a new set of these. Just one little sticky area. Oh, those are junk. Those won't work. That one spins freely until it's almost tightening this. Like it's working. That's good. So it's working now. You know what's funny about Allen's is if the end gets kind of stripped out, you can just chop that off with a grinder and you got a brand new end. Yeah, there are replacement boots you can get, but it's only about 4 below, but it just tape, it's just crap. It's so hard. It's still sticky, but it just doesn't stick very well. Well, actually, it is pretty good. It still goes on there and does its job. It might not look great, but nuts fix themselves, or the nuts fix the threads, and now it's like perfect. Yeah, it like fixes itself. Or the nuts, yeah, then the threads are fixed. There's junk in there. It's nice and easy to take off. You just have to take another bolt out. I like that most of the Allen, actually, yeah, most of the Allens on here are the same size. So you just use one tool for everything. I like that. They should have that on more things than just chainsaws. Still use the same size on there. See, this could be fixed, so I'm gonna keep this part, because if you got some little bolts and nuts, you could bolt another part back on here, make it out of whatever. And I should mention that a lot of people, they use old motor oil. They say you can use any oil for lubricating the chain. That's not true. You're supposed to use chain oil. There's an oil that's meant for it. And I used to use old motor oil. And every time you go to the dealer, they say, oh, you shouldn't be using old motor oil. It isn't good for them. And then I finally listened, and I got some chain oil that they recommended. And it makes a pretty big difference. That chain oil is nice and sticky, and it does do a much better job than old motor oil. There's a pretty big difference. It makes these chains last a lot longer. The motor oil gets thin, and sometimes these chains, when you're doing a lot of bucking, they'll warm up, and then that thin oil, it gets a little warm, and it just, the whole saw contains heat, so when that motor oil gets a little bit warm, it just doesn't do any good, so you should always use chain oil on these things. It definitely has a benefit. It does a better job. This thing, look at that. It's jam-packed full of dirt. And a big chunk of it in there. There. Tape isn't gonna last forever, but I think the old stuff has lasted for like 2 years, so. Oh, it might do its job, it might not. It doesn't even do much. It's okay though. I think that filter kind of, it will stay on there even if that thing, that metal thing doesn't hold it on. Look at all the dirt in this thing. That's a lot of dirt. Let's clean that out. I'll go blow this off with the air compressor. So that's what it looks like before. So I think that's pretty clean. I think it'll just stay on there. This thing doesn't do anything. This doesn't go up high enough and it just falls off, so this is junk. But I think that's how it was, and it was fine for a long time. So I should get another one of those pieces. I'll get a few more parts for these saws, but these are, I've been waiting a long time to make this video, so just, I might make a part 2 to the same thing. Yeah, just got that today for $4.50 Canadian. It's got the same size, pretty much the same length of bar as the 455. I'm not upset about that because this thing's got a lot more power. It's heavier. Yeah, it's quite a bit heavier. It's got a bigger engine in it. And this one, the throttle is messed up a bit. Actually, still works. And the kill switch doesn't work. That's pretty minor. But it runs, so. And it may need the carburetor adjusted a little bit on it. Choke to kill it, but it's missing something there. That's what makes it sound so gnarly, that something's supposed to be there. And this one also doesn't have a chain brake, so I want to get some parts for this. And this is my saw. I bought that today for $4.50 Canadian. It's an old logging saw. Let's see some information on it, and it's a 181 SE. It was made in Sweden. I've heard these were good saws. I haven't messed with this one yet. I think I'm gonna also do this one tomorrow. It's probably getting kind of late. I just got back from the neighbor, and this big saw, they tuned the carburetor for me. That actually wasn't even that hard, so. And also there was a pin. The throttle works really well now. It was just a pin that fell out, or it was sticking out too far, so. The throttle's good on it, and for now, the only thing I need for this is the chain brake. Why is this loose? Just pretty normal. And this thing I don't really mind. I'll just make sure I take off my hearing aids or turn them off so that they plug my ears. And anybody who's working beside me, I'll make sure they wear ear protection, because this thing is like a bass guitar with an amp. It's bassy, like you can feel your body shaking from the bass of it. So, well, I mean, it's not as aggressive as I'm making it sound, but this thing works good now. And the kill switch was working just fine. Nothing wrong with it. That's all ready to go. So this one was also at the neighbor's. I brought this one to them. So this one. The neighbor adjusted, I think he adjusted the idle or something. And then we took this plastic thing off, and there's actually no adjustments on that carburetor. So, that's stupid. So, what he said is this carburetor probably needs to be rebuilt, so. I don't like working on carburetors, especially little ones, so. I might take this off and then take that carburetor into the place at town that sells these, and get them to give me a price on how much they charge to do it. Might not be that bad. If it's a high price, then I'll see if I can learn how to do it myself, or I'll just get a new carburetor aftermarket if I can. I don't expect much out of this, but it has. It just has no power, so this thing needs a new carb, or it needs the carb rebuilt. So this one still needs to work. This is the one I put all the new parts on. So. it's got fuel in it. Maybe it may need adjusting. Or is the primer just not working? There's nothing in the primer. Yeah, this one needs a new primer, I think. Yeah, it works fine this direction. So why doesn't it work fine the other way? Maybe this one just has a little trouble priming. It might be okay. Yeah, this one might be fine. So I'll keep using it and see what happens with it. And I haven't actually run this thing yet. Well, I've run it, but I haven't used it. That's why it should start. This one has a lot more power than the 455. Since this one's not running, I'll put it over here. Just so people don't take it and think it runs. It's out of the way. Saws that do run go over there. This is the new 455. I think what I'll do is that sawdust is soaking up oil from when I did the ATV bumper. So I'll leave that to continue soaking the oil, and then when I start a project, I'll clean up before I start the project. That way that, and you know that oil has a lot of chances to soak. Well, all the wood is cut, and I love that saw. That's a good bucking saw. I wanted to get one for a few years. It's a good machine. Everything works on it now except for that chain brake. And so just keep getting another load. The next load will be from the lake quarter out there. And now I was gonna clear this off with a shovel, but I think it's actually good on here, the snow and the sawdust, because then the logs sit on something, and then it, you're not cutting into the deck and cutting the screws holding in there's plywood across here. So I think the sawdust is actually better, so I'm gonna leave it and see if it makes a difference to have a bit of sawdust on the deck. Now the deck's rotten. I'm not worried about it rotting. It needs to be fixed anyway. It's just a farm deck. This trailer's kind of had it for going on the road. The frame is bent down right there quite a bit. It's on a bit of an angle, but still that part of the frame bent down, so this thing can't go on the road anymore. It's too old, kind of rusted, and other than that, it's fine. So I guess that's it for fixing chainsaws.